Good morning. I'm thrilled to welcome you all here. My name is Jody London. Many of you know me by my day job because you work in the energy industry and you see me before the Public Utilities Commission or the California Energy Commission advocating on behalf of local governments and nonprofits on energy policy issues. And I love that work, and I also love my other job, which is representing Oakland's District 1 from North Oakland on the school board. And I'm going to welcome my colleague, Director Torres, up here with me. We're thrilled to join you, but I have a real personal stake in this project. 10 years ago, my older daughter, who's now a 10th grader at Oakland Technical High School, entered the Oakland Unified School District. And I looked around at her school campus, and I said, this is a really cute little campus, but oh my God, most of the classrooms are in portable buildings, and half of those date from the 1940s. How can that possibly be? And I, being who I am, I somehow met Tim White, who you're going to meet shortly. He's our Deputy Chief for Facilities. And I said, Tim, it seems to me that maybe the district needs an energy policy. And I know some folks at PG&E, and would you like to meet them? And he said, oh, I would love it. And 10 years later, Tim and Tadashi Nakagawa, who works very closely as well on these issues, and a number of people in our facilities department, have produced an amazing body of work. And this is, I think, one of our most exciting projects. Director Torres will tell you we're going to begin work soon. We've actually begun work on a similar very low energy usage project at Fremont High School over in the Fruitvale district. But this work is so important. So we have built at least, I want to say, eight or 10 CHIPS verified projects in Oakland. Our voters have been very generous with their bonds, and they continue to support the investment we are making in our children. There is nothing that signals to a child or to a community that you care as much as letting them come to school in a beautiful building. Think how excited I would. I mean, my school was nothing like this. It would have been very exciting. So did you want to add anything, Director Torres?
Oh, briefly. Good morning. So hopefully everyone's going to enjoy the tour, which it's such a gorgeous day, although 100, what is it going to be, 90, 95? It's going to feel like 100. Anyway, drink lots of water. But I definitely agree with Director London, and my daughter has been in school. We moved here from Stockton so she could start school. I wanted to raise her in Oakland because of the beauty, the diversity, the weather. And she goes to Oakland Tech, and another little plug would be that although that's a school of the past, it's turning 100. And so I just wanted to let you know that as you drive down Broadway, admire this wonderful pillar of our community, which is Oakland Tech, which is where both of our daughters go. But definitely this is the future, so I'm really excited about the tour. And yet Oakland has such a rich history that I'm really proud that my daughter could go there during this time. So thank you for being here.
There's one more thing I want to add. A couple of years ago, Claremont Middle School, also in North Oakland, had its centennial. And the reason that so many of our schools are having their centennials is that the voters of Oakland have a very long history of being generous with their bond funding. And back in, I think, 1911, they passed a bond that allowed Oakland to do an amazing body of work, much of which was torn down in the 1970s and replaced with buildings that have horrible HVAC systems, including Fremont. We've had to spend a lot of money to replace those. But those buildings, if you're interested, email me, and I'm going to dig up an article that we found from a 1922 issue of American Architect magazine talking about Oakland, the city of Oakland and its schools construction, and how they were doing construction in the teens, the 19-teens, that featured natural daylight and ventilation and open space for the kids. Does this sound familiar, Bill Orr? Does that sound at all like anything you talk about? So we've been leaders in this for a long time. At this point, we're gonna get on with the program. Rosie and I are really, really honored to introduce you to someone who we've come to be very, very fond of, and we're very honored to have brought in recently as our new superintendent, Mr. Antoine Wilson.
Good morning. I believe you. I am so excited to be here today, and to be here at this school, but more importantly, to be here in Oakland. I believe so much in the importance of education for our country and the value of education in preserving our democratic republic. And I believe that in order for us to maintain our strength as a country, we need to depend upon our great American cities leading the nation in ensuring that our students get the best education imaginable, the best education possible to propel our country into the future. And Oakland is a great American city. And that's what drew me here, having an opportunity to work with the community and work in support of our students like Luis and students like Assad and students like Jeffrey, who I met as I walked in here, who our students had met West, who are ambassadors today, and you'll get an opportunity to tour with them. Jeffrey had an opportunity to spend time and work on this project, and this project will have a lasting legacy across Oakland. And it is one of the leading projects in the country and a trendsetter here in California as well as the country, and Jeffrey played a tremendous role in that. Assad wants to be an architect. And what better, and I mentioned this to him, what better opportunity than to be a student in a facility like this where you can learn on the ground firsthand what it takes to be successful and put yourself in a position where that dream of being an architect can be realized. And then also, Luis mentioned that he's interested in physical therapy and performance. And I think that, again, being here in Oakland, we are about making sure that our students get those opportunities. In Oakland, quite simply, our vision is that every student will thrive. By thriving, we want our students to graduate as caring, competent, fully informed critical thinkers who are prepared for college, career, and their community. And this project is an excellent example of what community schools is all about and what it means to actually prepare students for success in their future. And so to be here on the La Escalita, at the La Escalita Educational Center, folks, you're in one of the healthiest facilities in the state of California, and one that has contemplated what it means to be a sustainable building, what it means to provide a welcoming education environment for our students, and one in which the community could be proud of. And what's really exciting is that this opportunity was conceived, it was designed, it was constructed to meet rigorous standards here in the city of Oakland. Again, as a great American city, we should be leading in these efforts, and I'm really proud to know that we are having an opportunity to be led by a team of individuals partnering with community members and contractors, state legislators, our city and county, to provide state-of-the-art facilities for our children. I also want to share that it's really important that we understand what's available. And you're going to go on this tour and you'll get an opportunity to see the building. But what you'll notice is, and what you'll hear about is, how the construction was very intentional. The design was very intentional, thinking about air quality, thinking about acoustics and lighting, taking advantage of what's available, the best of what's available in our city. The actual natural physical environment, and developing an appreciation in our students for the physical environment. And so I think it's important, again, as the Director London mentioned, that we recognize and provide our students an opportunity to understand that we deeply value their education, and we will show that value and demonstrate that in the way in which they get to receive education and experience education here in this center. And so we're so proud of that. And what's really exciting is you think about our young people as they enter the system, they're here on this campus. And then the best and brightest of Oakland, as they leave the system, they're also here on this campus. And so we'll get to experience our young people in their learning, through their learning trajectory throughout the system while they're here on this campus. And I think it's an excellent opportunity for those of you who are deeply interested in the success of our students to come and see what happens as students move along the trajectory and move towards the pursuit of their educational goals. While we are keenly focused on educating every one of our students, we recognize that we want to do more than just educate them, which is extremely important. So we pin our hopes on and dreams on making sure our students get a great education, but we want to make sure that we're thinking about their entire person. We want them to be productive citizens. We want them to care about their community. And we want them to care about the world and really understand their impact on the world. And again, this facility provides that opportunity for our students to really understand what green technology can do and how we can be thoughtful in terms of sustaining the environment for generations to come through our energy choices and how we maximize the resources here on campus. And so I just want to close by saying that in Oakland, we do value our students first, we do value equity, but we also value community. And this effort is a great reflection of what a community can do and the standards that a community can have if it truly believes in its young people, if it truly believes in the importance of giving back, if it truly believes in the importance of sustaining the environment and sustaining the energy, sustaining the community and lifting it up as a model for the country. And so, again, in Oakland, our focus is on ensuring that every student thrives. By thriving, we want them to graduate as caring, competent, fully informed, critical thinkers, college and career ready, and giving back to their community. And I'm so proud of the fact that this opportunity, this legislative tour, provides an opportunity for you to see how we're thinking about that and preparing our students for those opportunities here in Oakland. With that, I'd like to say thank you. And next up, is it Tim? Come on up, Tim. All right.
Thank you, Superintendent Wilson. I also want to thank many folks in the audience today. This is a really special day. But before we get into the thank yous, I do want to call attention to Superintendent Wilson and just the lens that he has, that he's brought to this school district, and you could hear it throughout his welcome this morning, right? He's actually challenging us. I can't say that I've been more tired than I am right now. I'm operating on a few hours sleep, and he's a lot younger than me, and the pace is really grueling. But I do have to say I really welcome it. I think he's the right person, and I'm going to ask everybody here for the support behind him from a legislative standpoint. Many of you guys have a positional power that can help students of Oakland and our needs as we try to make sure that every student has an opportunity for success. And so this is what we believe an environment that is conducive for success looks like, and we actually want to reproduce this all over Oakland. I'm actually a new kindergarten father, and that's wearing me out. It's like a third job. And I actually take my kid to a beautiful facility like this at Montclair, but it's not in my neighborhood, right? And so for me, what's really personal about it is I didn't actually do a good enough job in planning to build that school in my neighborhood. So it could have been a little bit more self-serving. But the reality is that, as Superintendent Wilson said, every kid in Oakland deserves this in their neighborhood, right? I don't mind going to Montclair, but I do wish it was something that was available to me in my neighborhood. And so we do want to make sure that equity is a part of quality, and that access is also something that each kid has, right? We want access to quality. We want access to high quality teaching and learning. We want access to rigorous curriculum, but we also want access to beautiful conditions, right? And so those two things together, culture, conditions, match with great programs, we know what the outcomes for those kids will be. They actually have an opportunity to compete on a worldwide level with other kids. They also have an opportunity to compete on a worldwide level with kids in our own city that have diverse conditions just between the freeways, right? And so for us, we aspire to have this at Fremont. Our superintendent talked about Fremont. And Fremont, much like this school, has been in need of improvements for many, many, many years. When we started this project here, it was probably 2001, and I got introduced to a committee called the Second Avenue Organizing Committee. And I don't know if we have any representatives here from that committee today, but it was a fully citizens organized committee, and they actually had what you would call the driver's seat in terms of this project. This was a building that was committed to this community, I think, over the course of about 20, 30 years. And in many cases, we have failed to convert this and keep our promise in building a new facility here. And so ultimately, the vision of this community and the school site and the board came up with a facility here, and it expanded from an elementary school to a K-12 facility. And so this facility is paid for by the voters of Oakland through a general obligation bond. General obligation bonds are ways that voters fund capital improvements and build new facilities. This was funded by Measure B, $435 million bond, and in part by some funds from a previous bond measure called Measure C. And we're going to use Measure J, a $475 million bond, to build facilities like this across the rest of the city. Most notably Fremont, Glenview, Madison, and I think Sankofa will also receive some improvement. And so what Jody London is talking about, and my time's up, is we actually have about $1.5 billion in need, right? But we only have $500 million. And that $1.5 billion in need stretches across the entire city of Oakland. And so our commitment is to make sure that we spend that money in accordance with the approved voter language, and that all of those dollars go into brick and mortar, and that they go towards successful outcomes for kids. And so we implore you to support Oakland Unified School District, our new superintendent, and our community schools and thriving students' approach to education. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker to come up and talk to us a little bit about the building and some of the features in the building. Energy Commissioner McAllister and CHIPS Executive Director Bill Orr.
Well, great. Superintendent Wilson and Deputy Chief White, thank you very much for your leadership. Certainly, Jody London and I now go back a fair number of years. I'm not even going to say how many. But the energy community is a pretty tight-knit one, and I think maybe there is so much goodwill in that community, because we all believe that we're making life better for our societies and our kids and our grandkids. But we tend to be a little myopic about focusing on energy, to the exclusion of many other things that are also important. And we do that at our peril, because in a place like this with a school, it all comes together. This is a social enterprise, and it has a tiny little energy component, but it is so much more than that. And I think CHIPS, which I am pleased to be on the board of, is the Collaborative for High Performance Schools. Started as a modest endeavor here, pretty much right here in Oakland, in California. And now it's a national endeavor, because it has shown that it has value, that it does treat schools as the unique enterprises that they are. We're headed, we have a broad range of policies in the state to head our new construction and our existing buildings towards environmental sustainability, energy sustainability, and in particular, we have a very ambitious goal for carbon reductions. And a school like this is helping us see that confronting climate change is something that has so much upside that we'd be stupid not to do it. So I really commend the Oakland Unified for seeing that and really bringing together all these different values that we have, sustainability being one, but educating our kids and all that entails being a whole group of others. I have kind of an affinity for Latin America. I lived there for years, and I just point out that the name of this place, La Escuelita. If I'm a Latino kid and I come to this school, I'm like, hey, mamita, voy a la escuelita esta mañana. Okay, and I don't know whether that's a reflection of the fact that there's a large Latino enrollment here, but certainly respecting culture in that just open way is something that I think is demonstrative here in Oakland. And so the diversity of the community and the good faith efforts that we're all making from our teachers, our students, our families, our parents, our teachers, and our administrators to really get it right. And I just commend all of you on the effort. And I'm really happy to be here, and I actually don't know a lot of the details about the building, but I'm looking forward to the tour. So thank you. And I wanted to introduce now Executive Director of CHIPS, Bill Orr, who has really, just observing how the organization functions and how well run it is, how well administered it is, how impactful it's being, a lot of that can be credited to Bill. So I want to pass the podium briefly to him.
Thank you, Commissioner McAllister. So you came here thinking you were going to go on a school tour, but I'd like to welcome you to graduation in October, because this isn't just an award that we're giving to the school and the district today. This is actually the diploma for this school. And so I just briefly want to talk about what CHIPS Verified is. CHIPS was born in California. We have connections to the origins of CHIPS, both through the Energy Commission as well as through Oakland as a school district. It's about family, it's about community. The family, you're all here to see the graduation of this school to the ranks of CHIPS Verified, which is a very prestigious recognition. And in fact, I'd like to say that this school is graduating with honors. Okay. But it's more than that, because what it's also about is the commitment on the part of the district and this community to education and building healthy, high-performance learning environments. So as part of the CHIPS family and the commitment that you've made over 10 years, congratulations on this, the latest sibling in the family of CHIPS schools. It all started with the Cesar Chavez School, which was the first one of two CHIPS demonstration schools that was completed in about 2004. So it's truly been 10 years of commitment. And so here we are at this school. It's another sibling. There were mentions of about 8 other projects. There are still some that are under construction and design and yet to be conceived. So welcome to the family of CHIPS. Welcome and congratulations to the districts, the designers, the community for this wonderful school. And so at this point, it's time to dedicate the plaque.
How do we do